the voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117.
Starting my recording now so I don't get fucked.
Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. Anthony and Skylar will take it from here. Master Chief, out.
Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. My name is Anthony Nicolosi.
And I'm Skylar Sokol.
And today, we're talking about foopuses. And how you move in them.
Yeah, FPS movement. Something that we wanted to wait until Anthony had played a few more FPSs than Halo to talk about, and he finally has. So we can do this topic.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
So I guess our itinerary through this topic, I think, should start just with the simple, which game had your favorite FPS movement and why?
Oh, God, that's hard, man.
That's
hard. Holistically, it's like sitting between, I don't know, man. Because as we shall discuss, for me, movement is part of it, but like how the movement really feels holistically in the experience also depends on the sandbox, the guns you have, the guns you use, and the other character mechanics you might have, or sandbox.
Yeah. Did you stall long enough to think of your answer? I'm just kidding. I'll go first. My favorite FPS movement is, I have no idea either, honestly. I'm trying to think about what game it is. It's like escaping my mind. This is a terrible way to start this podcast. I'm thinking, okay, let's just go through some and we'll talk about some mechanics. So like Titanfall 2, I think, is an example. Halo as well are games that have a lot of movement options available to the player. I think I would say Titanfall 2, probably just off the top of my head, has my favorite FPS movement. It has double jump and it has wall run, right? And just double jump and wall run alone are enough to make me fucking love a game's movement. Like those two, and sprint. Gotta have that sprint along with double jump and wall run, because you need that like speed control when you have that much mechanics. And then Titanfall throws in like a grappling hook and a bunch of other fun shit too that just makes it even better. But I just want to start simply, like, what do you think about double jump and wall run? Yeah. Give me your thoughts.
So my initial thoughts, I'm also thinking Titanfall has double jump. Destiny, which is one I played for a while, had even up to triple jump if you had the right boots. I'm a fan of double jump. I like double jump. I am not a fan as much of wall run, nor am I really a fan of leaning. I don't like the perspective change on wall runs.
I'm a big fan of leaning, actually. Well, especially in tactical games like Rainbow Six Siege, leaning is super fun.
Makes sense.
But I don't really care about leaning in Titanfall, honestly. But yeah, I see what you mean. No wall running, though. I guess you weren't a Mirror's Edge fan, because wall running is so legit in that game. And actually, I thought of my game. It's Ghostrunner. Has my favorite FPS movement of any game.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, I played that on controller.
Yeah, one day when you're a mouse keyboard expert, we'll have to get you back to Ghostrunner and see what you think. But that has wall running as well. That has double jump. That has like air slowdown dash movement. That has like charging sword dash. It has a ton of different movement options that are all really. It has a grappling hook, all really satisfying to use.
Yeah. So Titanfall 2 falls just after Halo 5 for me in these like my favorite advanced mobility mechanics games.
Yeah.
They're both a lot of fun.
Is it because it has sprint? That's my question. Is that the one thing bringing it down? Is your hatred of sprint?
In Titanfall?
Yeah.
Well, Halo 5 also has
sprint.
Sprint.
It does? Okay, I was blocking
Halo 5
it
had
out.
Sprint. Yes.
You talk about hating sprint so much that I just assumed that it didn't have. They patched it out because you were complaining it up or something.
The thing I like about Halo 5 over Titanfall is the side thrust that you have in Halo 5. It's kind of like if you would have the Titans have the side thrust, I want to say, like when you're in the Titan.
Sort of, yeah.
But like you have this like zippy little thing that you can chain into other movement mechanics.
Sort of similar to the Ghostrunner dash thing.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I think Ghostrunner's is a little like more aggressive. But yes, similar. But Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was going back and forth because it was like, is Halo 5's my favorite? Because I also really like Halo 2's in a different way. But the evolution of Halo 2's, which is what I was going to say is my favorite movement, which is like you literally can't do anything. You just like run at a constant speed and you can crouch and jump. I think the evolution of it, which is my favorite, is Doom, the modern Dooms. The modern Doom movement mechanics are my favorite.
So those have no sprint. There is double jump.
And there's a lot of air control in that.
There's
jump.
some air control if you get the upgrade. There's grappling hook in the new game at least.
I haven't tried that.
There's like climbing. So what do you so in Doom 2016 there's not that much, right?
Correct.
There's double jump and there's fast normal movement, and that's like it.
And
right?
there's air control when you jump.
Right.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Can you even crouch in Doom?
I don't know.
So here's another mechanic I'm just throwing out there. I'm not a big fan of slide. Not a big fan
I
of
love slide. Slide is so much fun for me. I think it provides a really
fan.
interesting like movement option, especially in single player games. I don't care about it as much in multiplayer games, but like in Apex Legends, when you're like running up on someone, you like slide through that door.
Map,
you like
dude.
slide behind some cover and then like pop out. That shit's fun as fuck.
It like in Titanfall 2, if you're hitting that same kind of move, right? Like you hit that slide and you just like light them up on that angle. Like it can be satisfying. But I'm not a big fan of these like weird ass angle changes. That's something that I don't like it moment to moment. Especially like in Titanfall 2, what bothers me after a while, and this bothered me in Halo 5 too, because like to get to one place to another in Halo 5, you need to thrust when you hit terminal velocity, you need to slide, and at the end of your slide, you need to jump and all this shit. But is that the thing I don't like about it, oh my gosh, what am I saying? Oh, is that you have to do it so often. That was my problem in those two games. Is like I'm sliding all the fucking time.
And I think that's just a misimplementation of what a good slide mechanic would feel like, because, and this is a problem in like tons of games, right? You see it in speedruns all the time, that there's some movement mechanic in the game that's supposed to has like a specific purpose, but it ends up being faster than walking. So you literally just end up doing that for the entire game. Like in the fucking Ocarina of Time speedrun, I think, or Majora's Mask, you do like the whole thing dashing backwards, because dashing backwards is literally the fastest way to move in the game. So you literally are backwards like the entire game. Like this happens in a lot of games, and I think it's hard, right? Because you want the mechanic to feel like accessible and useful, but to make it not just be what you do to move all the time is hard.
Yeah, I don't know. It's almost like a bit of a motion sickness kind of a thing for me personally. It's just like always going fucking up and down, up and down. It's just like, God, like so.
No VR for you.
I'm not. I haven't so far been a big VR fan. I think that might be part of it. So that I much more prefer the double jumps, triple jumps, the air. I really like air control in my games. I feel like what's another shooter? Did Ghostrunner have?
Ghostrunner has a shit ton of air control. Like with the dash, you can go into slow motion and have like super air control too. Yeah, I love air control.
Me too.
But here's the deal, right? To have air control in a game, you need a very floaty jump, and you need a game where floaty jump makes sense, right? Because like air control on like a boop jump is stupid.
Is kind of interesting, because on Doom you do fall a little heavier.
You fall heavier, but but with the double jump, right? It provides you with time to apply the air control. Now, Sean brings up a mechanic that's common in a lot of PC shooters, called bunny hopping. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Are you familiar with this mechanic?
It's where you just like hit the jump perfect.
You jump like on the frame you land, and it provides you with like an acceleration of your move speed. So technically, if you're doing this constantly, you'll end up accelerating faster than like running. And even in Valorant, it is preserved because the community wanted it so bad. There's also crouch jumping in that game, which is so stupid in my opinion. It just is so unintuitive. But
that's an interesting one. What do you find unintuitive about it?
Because in real life, it makes no sense.
But
like
it's a game.
Right. But the movement
stuff doesn't make sense.
No, a lot of game stuff doesn't make sense, but it's intuitive in the game's universe. Crouch jumping isn't. Like There's no physics that make crouch jumping make sense in a game's universe.
Yeah, I understand.
It's
what you're
literally
saying.
just there to be like a mechanic for people in the know to be like, I'm so cool because I know about crouch jumping. You know,
Yeah.
there's
I
no
think
game.
that's kind of
No,
part of
that
the
kind of
coolness
shit
to it
is
for me.
bullshit. That kind of tribal knowledge,
I
mechanical
like that
shit is
tribal
stupid.
knowledge.
It's stupid. I hate
It's
it.
like, oh, you do this thing just like this, you can get there. Like,
Yeah, but if you want that, implement game mechanics that provide that. Don't just like have that be there as like a bug, basically. Because that's basically what it is. It's adjusting the size of your character's hitbox so they are like put up on a ledge in a way that they wouldn't be otherwise. It's not like a actual implemented thing. It just happens because of how crouching works.
So in the case where you jump into like weird ass geometry that you shouldn't be able to jump to, like okay, but what if the developers intentionally put places on the map that you can only get to with like a crouch
Then
jump?
you need to
Like,
create a
intending you.
tutorial for that exists in the game to teach players that exists.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm okay with there being like a skill gap to like movement, because Halo has had crouch jumping the whole time, right? And in Halo 5 specifically, they added spots that you can crouch jump to. But
I mean, that exists in Valorant as well. Spots you can only
Right.
crouch jump to. But I don't think
On
that's
purpose?
necessary. Yes, you could just have them
Yeah.
be jump spots and it'd be fine. It doesn't make the game better to have people have to know this like hidden mechanic in order to get to these spots. It just
It just
creates a shitty barrier of like a shitty skill barrier for people because there's no place to learn it without like finding the advanced video on the internet, right?
I don't know. I personally disagree on this one. I feel like it adds an additional, like in the way they describing characteristics of games, that extra directional heuristic. It's like something that I need to be able to mechanically execute on and be aware of that is a possibility.
But you can
Like,
do
it's
that
a
with
skill gap.
well implemented known movement mechanics that are like well conveyed to the player in the game. You could still do that exact same thing. Just make the jump really tight. Make you have to like perfectly execute the jump thrust, right, to get there. It doesn't have to be this hidden mechanic. That's what pisses me off. Like, why would you even do that? Like, the point of games is to give people. I don't think people do it intentionally, honestly. I think it's a result of how crouching and hitboxes are implemented in games. And and it was originally a bug that people with tribal knowledge of that bug want to like gatekeep and be like, this should still be in the game because I know how to do it from the old games. So they keep it in the game. It's not there because it's a fun mechanic that like new players want.
In Halo, that's how it started too, right? It wasn't on purpose. It was the side effect of the whole hitbox thing, like you were just talking about. The thing, though, I don't know. I like the feeling of executing it. I don't know how to tell you on control.
Well, then they'd better execute their movement. If their movement mechanics were better, you would like that feeling too, right? Like,
no, I like literally the sensation of like you sort of like push the joystick in and hold it. Like, it feels good.
Then you should remap your buttons for other mechanics to feel like you can have other mechanics that feel that way. That justification makes absolutely no sense.
I absolutely like the toy of these mechanics is part of it for me. Like playing, and this is definitely a thing we have a different experience on because I play them on controllers and you play them on mouse and keyboard. But literally, what it's like to execute these things is a big deal. It's why, like, if I didn't have my paddles, I don't play Halo 5. I don't play Titanfall 2 because it's such a clusterfuck to execute. So when I have the paddles, though, they start to get like fun. It's like literally the physical execution of them,
right? And I'm fine with that. Like, that's why I like QuickTime events, right? That's why I like rhythm games. They're fun to execute, but they're well-defined mechanics that are conveyed properly to the player. That's where I have the problem. Not like like I said, if crouch jumping was part of the tutorial and they were like, here's another mechanic you should learn, you like use it in the campaign or whatever, great. It's a mechanic, but it's not actually. It's like some hidden bullshit that's like there for people to figure out. Like bunny hopping, another example we were talking about. Literally the best way to bunny hop in a PC game is to bind your jump button to your fucking mouse wheel so that you can scroll your mouse wheel when you're about to land and get like a bunch of jump inputs so one of them hits when you hit the ground.
You don't like it?
That's stupid. It's so stupid. Like, like, and I'm not even saying it's not that fun to try and do. It's fun to try and do, but you can have fun to try and do things that are like actual things.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I don't mind it personally, but
So you don't
I understand
mind
what you're saying.
mechanics existing in games that aren't conveyed to the player.
Yeah, they're like hidden. They're also like cooler to me when you find them. It's like,
but you don't find them. You're like on a map. It's not fun to find it when you're like a new player on a map playing a Halo match, and some dude's like in a corner you never even knew a guy could get to, and he just kills you over and over, and you have nothing you can do about it because you didn't know that angle existed. That's not fun for the player.
Personally, for me, when this like, I'm thinking of this like one Halo 5 kill that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. This guy got up on a thing I didn't even know existed. I personally thought like, oh shit, like that was cool. And I went and I YouTubed and figured out how to find it. And then I went into custom games and I tried to figure out how to do the jump, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, I have to practice more. But I don't know. I find that like it's like a secret.
Well, that's
So it's
fine
like
if you have to use the regular movement mechanics in the game that are conveyed to be there. You can still have that same experience, right? Like, you don't need to have hidden actual mechanics in the game to create experiences like that. Right? Like, the sandbox should be well defined.
I agree
the
with
sandbox
that
should be
statement.
well defined, and then the
Yes.
levels should be designed around the sandbox.
You shouldn't need it. But like, in the case of Halo, for example, where crouch jumping came out of this bug and then it was like there, I actually want to say that in Halo 4, they largely nicked the jumps available to it. But the whole community hated it. Like, all the competitive people. The non-competitive people like didn't even realize it was gone.
But that's like
the
a shitty
competitive people are like,
gatekeeping
whatever.
mindset, in my opinion, that doesn't matter.
But like in
that's
my
not who we
opinion,
should be
that's
catering
okay.
to. I don't think gatekeeping
No.
mindsets like that are okay. Like, tribal knowledge mindsets only force new players like out. They create a larger barrier of entry for new players that shouldn't exist.
I think that at the height, when it adds to like the skill gap there at the top, like, it's okay. Like, it's a secret. Finding the secret is like part of your experience of going into.
But it's
the
not
upper
a secret.
echelons.
It's not a secret for any of these people who have been around since the first Halo, who
Right.
are the people who are asking for it. So it's not made for these people to find. It's made for these elitists who already have this like tribal knowledge and want to feel cool that they already know it.
But when you see the elitists executing it, if you're a new guy, and then you go and you learn it, it's like, I'm like I'm getting better.
I think this is an
this.
excuse from a tribal knowledge elitist, in my opinion.
But I just don't mind it. I don't like.
Well, but you
this
haven't
is
had
the-
that experience because you knew about crouch jumping. You haven't been in a game where this mechanic existed. Like, every
So,
time this has happened to
Yes,
me,
crouch jumping in particular, you're right. There's a new mechanic in Halo 5, which is a clusterfuck of a physics bug to explain. It's called super jumping. It's if you jump, right? So you're in the air, and then you hit crouch. So you're crouching when you're in the air. You keep holding crouch when you hit the ground, and then you let go of crouch and jump at the exact same time. You can get like a half bit of your hitbox higher. It's called the super jump.
Yep.
Didn't know it was a thing until actually year 3 of Halo, and I realized that that's what the pros were doing on some plays.
Yeah, see,
So
and that kind of thing I would have patched out of the game. And Rocket League had that exact thing, actually. There was a way where if you double jumped on the correct frame, you would get a higher jump than normal. And they patched it out, and it was 100% the best decision they made for the game.
What do you think about stuff, though, like the infinite dashes that you can do in Rocket League? It's kind of like a similar thing. It's like you can like
But that's using
manipulate the dash.
But not really, right? That's using intuitive, understandable mechanics from the game. There's nothing that's like weird about that. It makes sense with how you could explain that to a player who only knows about the basic sandbox without them needing additional knowledge.
I disagree. Like you can tell in the controls, like you have to do it.
No, you explain that, right?
In this is the air roll and then the side dash and the whatever, but you have to like manipulate how air roll and dash works to execute that mechanic.
Right.
You're like,
but it's based on But it's based on power sliding, which is well defined, right? When you're on the ground, you slide, and that causes you to retain your momentum. And then you're talking about like basically wave dashing, right? But plus
but you like chain it,
but the like duck wave dash, yeah. But it uses power slide, right? Which is a well defined mechanic, right? All it is you're flipping into a power slide. It's that simple, and you just do it multiple times. That's not that's intuitive.
Jumping and crouching.
But it doesn't make sense. Why would that get you higher? Why would that allow you to reach higher areas?
Dude, and you're like jumping, and then you pull your legs up. Good.
But that's no, you would just climb up. There's no reason that gets, and that's not how.
If you have clamber, that's another reason why I liked crouch jumping in Halo 5 is because you do have clamber, and if you could hit it as a crouch jump without having to clamber, you actually had a like split second advantage over somebody who would have just clambered. So it was like you got a bonus for being able to execute that jump without needing the clamber. So
yeah, I agree with Sean. I don't want to have to practice some weird mechanic to get a 1% advantage. In my opinion, just remove it.
I'm okay with it. Okay, so crouch jumping is a thing.
Yeah, they're bugs. Most of them are bugs, and most of these mechanics span from bugs.
Right.
So I
don't care. Like it can spawn from a bug, but if it shows up and it comes in the game,
if it becomes a part of the sandbox, it should be well explained in the sandbox. That's all I have to say. If it is, that's great, especially in a game that has a single player experience, right? And Rocket League is different. Rocket League is weird in this case because it's a strictly multiplayer game, basically, right? That has evolved over a really long time. And so, like, honestly, in Rocket League, like, some of these things that are these mechanics should maybe be patched. Like, for example, speed flipping is definitely a physics bug.
Right.
And things like that, I would totally patch out. Like, ceiling shots and stuff, no, I would not, because they make sense with the how the system works, right? Flip resets, cool. Like, they make sense with how this is. But speed like flipping is a physics bug that I would patch out.
I don't know, man. I'm cool with speed flipping.
The problem is you have to have the philosophy from the beginning, right? If you have the philosophy that you're going to take out like game breaking bugs that don't make sense in the sandbox, and you do that, then the community will be fine with it as long as you're consistent with that. But if you allow it in from the beginning, then your community is going to be like, oh, these are here now, right? Like if Rocket League patched out like flip resets now, people would be fucking furious. But they have patched them out immediately when they were found, then it would have been fine.
Yeah,
you know what I
agree
mean?
with you that if you want to take that stance, you gotta shut shit down fast. You gotta shut.
Yeah,
down fast.
No, totally right. Because then otherwise you create people like the community of people in Halo who are obsessed with crouch jumping and were pissed when it was gone, right?
Yeah, you can't fucking after 2 decades,
people feel like entitled to their secret knowledge, right? And if they can't use it anymore, they're gonna be like, well, you took that secret that I knew away from me.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Yep. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a complicated problem to solve for sure.
So that was cool. Now, we were talking about jumping.
And for the record, it matters way more to me in multiplayer games than single player games. In a single player game, leave all the fucking speedrun tricks in. That's fine. Because like you're not there's no new player barrier of entry in that case unless they decide to commit to speedrunning the game, and then they're already committing to getting that knowledge, right? It's only in multiplayer games where I think this matters.
Actually, you know what's it's totally related to this? In Halo 2, there was a fuck ton of button. God, the word is escaping me, but basically button combos that you could do. Like you could shoot, and if you hit, I want to say throw grenade, and then real quick.
Oh, like an animation cancel kind of thing?
Yeah, you could do like boom, boom. Like, what do you think about stuff like that?
Take it out.
Okay. Yeah, so that was another one, right? Where they like. When Master Chief Collection came out, there was a debate because it was like, are you going to keep, because they did Halo 2 Classic, right? That was part of the multiplayer suite that they released. And they were like, are you going to keep the button
right. The
combos?
Yeah. And well,
in that case they did because, it's a remake and it's whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's not necessarily a new one, but
that doesn't exist in the newer games, correct?
Well, not those combos,
right.
But like in Halo 5, for example, you can animation cancel on some stuff. Like you can throw a grenade and quickly reload and then reload again. I'm sorry, and swap weapons again, like swap back and forth real fast, and your grenade just like.
Yeah, see, in CS:GO that existed. You could shoot with the op, switch to your knife, and switch back to the op to like reduce the wait time. In Valorant, they removed it, and no one was upset. Like it was fine.
In Valorant, they removed it.
Uh-huh. They
kept it in CS.
Well, it's always been in CS, right? It's that same problem. It's been there since the beginning.
Right. Yeah, I think that that is such a huge part of this conversation. It's like, what's the expectation of the community? Like, if it's been there and then you take it out, you're gonna have a shit show on your hands potentially. If you catch it, it's, for example, when Musty posts the video about the speed flip, and then Psyonix would have just like patched it out, then it's not a thing. It's a non-starter. You know?
Right.
Like,
They were like,
So,
oh,
anyway.
this is an unintended bug. Patch this out. I think Psyonix has really decided to go with the approach of everything is intended. Like, at this point, they're just like, fuck
Whatever
it.
you find, yeah.
Whatever you find is fine. And that's clearly their public philosophy, and I think that's fine. It's created a really cool community around Rocket League, which definitely wouldn't have been possible before, like, the internet, like, the YouTube kind of thing and Twitch existed, right? But...
Yeah. Right on. Okay.
So Brittany,
what did you say about double jump? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just say, Brittany says in chat, in esports, it's cool to figure out the secret mechanics because, in my opinion, that's what makes you a top tier player. That you can pull off crazy shit. It's just like real sports. Can you figure out how to do a curveball, etc.? And I totally agree with Brittany on this point. I just think that those the goal of esports, right, to be a top tier player is to be able to execute the mechanics of the game as best as possible, right? Like as optimally as possible, then you should be the best player. But I just think those mechanics should be well defined in the sandbox. That's the only difference of opinion I have there, I think. Like, they just should be well defined. Like, it shouldn't be like weird that a player knows this thing and gets like an unfair advantage. That's essentially an exploit of the game mechanics, right? And it's just up to whether the developer decides it's an exploit or not that it becomes an exploit. Or everyone will just start doing it, right?
I understand. I understand that. Yeah. And personally, if you gave me the option, I would prefer that depth was added to the experience versus under these kinds of clear intentional mechanics or sandbox changes or whatever than like hidden mechanics.
Right. You're saying if the system has enough depth that it doesn't need these, then you don't need these.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I totally agree with you. And I think we're on the same page there. It's just that you're in that crouch jump community that's had it forever, so you want to keep it, right? And that makes sense. Obviously, there's tons of people who feel that way too.
Cool. So let's see. We got double jump. Oh, we got to talk sprint.
Oh, yeah, let's talk. Sorry, that was quite a divergence. Thank you for listening to our debate on game mechanics sandboxes. Tune in next week for the FPS Movement podcast. But anyway, sprint. You're saying
it is movement. Yeah, yeah. What? Because you said you really like sprint. I can't remember why you said. Because you said something along the lines. I want to say that like when you have wall running, when you have all this other stuff, you got to have sprint. So can you elaborate?
I personally like sprint in games. Like, generally, I just like I think it adds depth, right? Then you have two speed options. Either sprint or just something that can change your run speed. It doesn't have to be sprint, right? In Valorant, you have move, run, and walk. And you hold the button to walk, right?
Can you shoot when you run?
You can shoot when you run, you can shoot when you walk, you can shoot when you're standing still, but it changes your accuracy significantly.
Cool.
Like when you're running and shooting, you're basically not going to hit anyone. When you're walking and shooting, you have a better chance. They've had to adjust it tons of times too. But regardless, I just like that the options of having different speeds that you can move. I think that's fun and like engaging and creates interesting situations. And it just allows you to have it allows the map to be larger but still allow you to have finite control when you're in a small scale battle. I think, like, for example, in battle royales, sprint is super important, right? Because you need to be able to sprint between locations. You need to take long range fights where sprinting is valuable. But then when you're in that super close range fight, like in a building, having to constantly be moving at that same speed you were moving when you were sprinting, if there was no multiple options, would make those fights not as compelling, right? You wouldn't be able to do as tactical things in these smaller scale situations.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I am, as you said before, I'm as anti-sprint as possible. Here's my main issue. Here are my two main issues with sprint, I think, at the top of my head. First one is that unlike the Valorant system you just described, in all of the games I've ever played, all the FPS games I've ever played, when you sprint, you cannot shoot. Right. So you make more than just a movement decision when you sprint. You make a choice on whether you are going to be able to engage in a battle when you're sprinting. Right. I can understand that in low time to kill games, that might create a compelling element of like triangularity where it's like, well, I could sprint to this edge, but if the dude does, pop out over that edge, I'm exposed because it's going to take me a sec to get my gun out, like, so you have to make that decision, and that could add some depth
Yeah.
there.
And that's the same thing as reducing the accuracy while shooting and sprinting as well. It provides us the same sort of triangularity, just with a chance that you might hit him, right? But it's basically the same concept, yeah.
Right. So yeah, for my opinion, again, the FPS I play the most, Halo, which is a small map, historically small map, always shooting, long time to kill game. Sprinting is like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why would you put that in here? Like, we're just all in a small little thing shooting each other all the time and rotating and moving. Why do I now have to put my gun down to go? It's just in the scenario of Halo, because this is the second thing that bothers me about sprint is how it impacts map design. So, like you said, if you have sprint, you have to account for sprint in the map design. You can't just have that small baby map again. And
Right.
You're going to be fucking all over the place.
Totally.
So the way that impacted things in Halo in particular just was like, again, it felt like contrary to how Halo in particular works. It's the I had the notion of that trade-off of like, I need to be running, like, yes, I can understand how that may adds a little bit of depth because you're sprinting, and then if you get into a gunfight, you're a shot down, but because of shields, you can still make a comeback and whatever. But it's just like, that's not the point, like, of Halo. That's like not the flow, of Halo. It's and for let me add to that though. In Halo 5, they did some things to sprint that, in my opinion, made sprint better. Specifically, two things. One is, here's one way that sprint is totally broken in Halo, with a long time to kill and shields. If some motherfucker is down there and you start shooting him, he just fucking sprints around the corner and you're fucked. Like, and you just gotta wait.
Yeah.
That is how Halo 4 worked, and
Yes.
that was broken.
Yes, in Valorant, that's solved by your movement speed is reduced like immensely in Valorant when you get shot.
In Halo 5, they did that too. I agreed. That's a great change. And in addition, in Halo 5, when you get shot, your shield recharge resets. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Not only that, but when you sprint, your shield recharge stops.
So there's even a bigger trade-off to sprinting than just.
So it's like, you can run for it, but your shield's not coming back.
Yep.
So
that's interesting.
So they made sprint better, but yeah, those are my main issues. My two main issues are the fact that I have to choose between whether I want to shoot right now or whether I want to move. And at least in Halo, it was kind of always about moving and shooting at the same time as much as possible. So that felt like that was a backward
I see. So you're saying it took away from the most fun part of Halo for you, which is moving and shooting, which for a lot of games is not like the core gameplay.
Right. Like I was saying, in those short time to kill games. So I'm thinking like Titanfall, sprint is not as bad.
I think the maps are designed like really well for sprint to exist on Titanfall too.
Yeah. But it's like that scenario that I was talking about in Halo where you see the guy and he's running with a short time to kill. Like, you're going to get that guy, you're going to close that kill with him sprinting, so that's unique to Halo. But I don't know. Again, it's like in Doom, similar to Halo. It's just the funnest part of Doom to me was the same kind of dance of the moving and the shooting. And so I mean, if
there was sprint in Doom, I would want it to, you could shoot either way. You would just move faster. Like, sprint for me doesn't mean you can't shoot.
I'm not necessarily opposed. Yeah, I'm not opposed to like having different speeds of things per se. I think it'd be interesting to try and like a Valorant-like system where your shooting is heavily screwed up by sprinting, but you could still do something, I don't know. I think that would be interesting, and I've always wondered what it'd be like in Halo. So I'm not opposed to that, but I can't say I've played a game where they did that good or at all. So
Yeah, Valorant's the only game that I've really seen it implemented in a way that seems reasonable, and there are still tons of situations where people get pissed off because they're like, that guy got a running headshot on me, that shouldn't happen based on these mechanics, and they keep having to adjust the system, trying to make it more and more like in line with what people expect, which is that if you're running and you shoot, or you're running and you stop and shoot immediately, you shouldn't have the same accuracy as someone who's literally standing there waiting to shoot you, right?
right. No, that makes sense.
And it's just proven really complicated to implement well, I think is all I'm trying to say here.
So one thing that Halo community has made so many YouTube videos about is like sprint doesn't actually make you faster, because since the maps are scaled, it's all relative. Now the maps are bigger and it still functionally takes you an equivalent amount of time to get from this point to another point. And they're actually technically right in the arena shooters case, but they'll take it farther to like some of those big modes, like you said, like a battle royale, blah blah blah. And in my opinion, one thing also that sprint gives you, because it's potentially true, right? Like if you were doom speed in PUBG, you maybe could make either the map is the same size or you could make it a little smaller, and relatively speaking, the amount of the amount of time it takes you to traverse over certain distances is maybe equivalent. But I think psychologically, for a person, when you see a fucking thing way over there, you want to feel like you can do something more to get there faster.
Yeah. And I think the scale is what makes Battle Royale so fun. And so like reducing that by not needing sprint wouldn't be that fun, right? It's like I said, it feels like those people are ignoring the whole thing I said about like it provides you a different option for a small scale encounter than a large scale encounter, right? That's what's so interesting, right? I can take that like sniper fight and then sprint up on this guy to try and get there. But then once we're inside a building, we can move slowly and we're not still like zooming around at 100 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that decision-making process is really interesting and provides you with multiple types of fighting. I think these Halo people, right, love their arena shooter, love their small scale battles. And I think in like the Halo 2 maps and the old Halo, like the small Halo maps, sprint would make no sense. Like literally no sense.
Yeah.
You only need one speed in those maps because you're not in that many different situations. You're pretty much always in the same sort of like fight situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I just think sprint and map design are so intertwined.
Definitely. I think all movement mechanics, honestly, are very intertwined with map design, right?
So let me ask you this question. In my opinion, I want to say it was like probably from like 2011 to like especially 2017 or so. I felt like almost every FPS that came out was trying some take on advanced mobility mechanics, right?
Yeah.
I mean, adding those mechanics to the base player, mechanic set does add, some skill depth and stuff like that. I don't know. What'd you think about that?
I love advanced mobility mechanics. I would take them anytime. I love them. But I love platforming games, right? And I think it's an easy transition from like wanting to play like a platforming game where like movement really matters. I want movement to matter in any game I'm playing because movement is fun for me. You know what I mean? And for me, like movement part of games is as fun as shooting a lot of the time, right? I'm not there to just shoot. I like being able to maneuver and stuff like that. So for me, advanced movement mechanics really add to games. Like that's why I love like Mirror's Edge, which is almost a pure movement game. You know what? Ghostrunner as well is almost more about the movement than any of the other mechanics. And those are some of my favorite games. So for me, give me them anytime, any game.
Cool. Yeah. Right on.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm the opposite of that, but I also am the opposite of what I'm looking for in the experience. Like you were saying, the movement's the most interesting part to me, even more so maybe than the shooting itself.
It's at least equivalent, I think. I don't think it's more, but.
And for me, it's not like the movement's not important. Like the toy aspect of it's got to be good. It's got to feel good and like fluid, whatever you're doing. But I'm actually trying to think. I swear there's a shooter that I played recently that did not feel good. I'll see if I can remember. But I don't know. I didn't. I felt like all this like just like bullshit. It was like they're adding stuff to try and fill in the fact that their shooting was boring. So, But again, I mostly play Halo. So
Right. See, and that's a long time to kill game, and there's a lot of differences there. And I personally, I really like tactical gameplay and like strategic gameplay, and advanced movement mechanics provide you more opportunities for tactical and strategic gameplay. Right? Like if you're just like face to face and whoever aims like is aiming better wins, and you're just like strafing side to side, like sure, like your shooting matters there, and the shooting aspect of that is fun, but I want to be tactical. I want to be able to outmaneuver someone and then get an advantage in the shooting situation.
Yeah, the short time to kill puts a different spin on the movement. Like there's just a totally different emphasis in the gameplay loop.
Yeah, and but I mean, I feel like for me in Halo, I would want lots of advanced movement as well. Like that would be more fun for me, especially in like a long time to kill, because the battle's going to go on a long time. So I want to be able to like be epic and like outmaneuver this person and get an advantage in the battle mid battle. You know what I mean?
That was fun about Halo 5 and that side thrust, especially because it added a degree of horizontal change.
Yeah, that's a super fun mechanic. It sounds like,
So anyway, right on. What? Anything else on this topic?
No, the only thing I want to talk about is our patron question.
Ooh.
Well, this will be a quick one since we're already over our allotted time limit. Since you asked this on Insta, Evan Co Music would like to know, what is a game you'd love to see get a sequel but hasn't / never will?
What do you?
I need to look at my Steam library. Can you go first?
I mean, I don't know how to.
Okay, so I think my answer is probably. I'm trying to think of like, I don't know, like a lot of games that I honestly more often hope games don't get sequels than do get sequels. This is sort of a kind of a shitty like roundabout answer to this question, but honestly for me, I would rather the one game be the experience and like it be a complete experience, and then the next game be something new. I feel the same way about movies too. Like I don't need this like fucking 8,000 Assassin's Creed games. Like give me like one really good. I mean, the cool thing about Assassin's Creed that has done well is like the newest ones have been in completely different environments, and their focus has been way more on making the environments feel super different than anything else. And that is like a good way to do a sequel. Like those are basically different, completely different, like cultural experiences. But like, you're just like, hey, here's my game, Call of Duty. And oh yeah, here's Call of Duty. And no thanks for me.
Madden 21.
Right, exactly. So, I don't know. I think the game I'm hoping for a sequel the most right now of any game, just for my initial Steam wishlist review, is Killer Instinct. So, I mean, technically, Killer Instinct was a sequel in a way, but it was a reboot of the Killer Instinct series, the one that came out on Xbox One, I believe, launched on Xbox One. And I would really like a sequel to that game to come out at some point. Honestly, fighting games are the games whose sequels I look forward to the most because they frequently redefine the systems in really interesting ways. So that's my long roundabout answer to I don't know.
I want a sequel to Halo 2.
You can, but then you should come up with a different answer too.
I don't. Fuck, dude. This is. Tough.
What about Minecraft? Are we looking for Minecraft too?
I mean, I was thinking, actually, initially, like if there was a way that they could just make the graphics better wholesale and add some wrinkle to the mechanic sandbox that made it even deeper, it would be like Rocket League 2. Like if something in Unreal Engine 5, like somehow you'd have to not fuck up what's already there and then add some kind of twist to something like
one more major
air roll or some
it'd
shit,
probably be like one more main mechanic, right? Like one more button you can hit to do something different.
One more little wrinkle, and the graphics are like fucking blow your brains out, cool. Hey, Unreal Engine 5 kind of shit.
Yeah. I mean, that feels like it could even just be a DLC. Like, that's the thing about games as a service in, like, the modern era, right? Like, a lot of these games that we'd like sequels for are basically getting sequels all the time with, like, the content updates and stuff for the games, right? Like, this, like, definitive sequel doesn't really exist anymore. It's more just like, here's the system and we're going to improve it. All right, give it to me.
Mario Strikers. Fuck.
That might happen. That might happen. We getting Mario Golf sequel.
Dude.
Mario.
I know that was hype.
I'm so hyped.
I don't know what everyone thought about the direct, but the golf was good.
Mario Strikers.
Shit, I would play Mario Strikers too.
Right.
I would buy another one. That one was the jam. Of course, this is assuming they would fucking do it right, but Mario Strikers 2. The other one that I was going to say from a story perspective was Red Dead 3.
Well, that's not the game already has a sequel, Red Dead 2.
Yeah, but it's the sequel. Yeah.
But that's it's not allowed. Violates the sanctity of our agreement. Yeah, because so here's the deal. Any game that I think is really good enough to want a sequel for, single player games are games that had a good enough experience that I don't feel like I need a sequel, I guess. That's what it is for me. So the only games that I hope for sequels for are multiplayer games.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's probably Titanfall 2, hope they get a sequel.
Titanfall 3.
Cool.
People want that very badly. Yeah, that would be cool. I was thinking The Witness and stuff, but The Witness is such an amazing experience. It doesn't need a sequel. It covered it. It did it. It met the goal.
I don't know, unless you're really confident about what you're bringing on that sequel,
Yeah, I feel like a lot of games fall flat on sequels. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Dota 2, fuck, get that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, ironically, I think some of our favorite games are sequels.
I think they are, but those games were from before the time where we have this new games as a service model, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our answers to that. Where can people find us?
You can find us at koalaentertainment.com. There you have a link to our social media, including, especially, most importantly of all, Discord. Oh, let me see. Do I have it here?
Discord.
Okay, I don't have it here, but
Discord.
there is a sweet giveaway coming.
Oi, bruv, this is Lakes Potter. Please check out our Discord.
Sweet giveaway coming that you can, if you're in the Discord or if you're on Instagram or on Twitter, you'll find out about. So go to Instagram, to koalaentertainment.com. We already have a giveaway going. We actually have 2 giveaways going, but in addition, there's a new one, a hype one. I've already teased it before, so I'll just deliver the news right now.
Anthony will be giving away his newest born daughter. Giving her away. You got a child to raise for yourself.
As an NFT card token.
NFT a non-fungible token. Aren't all childs non-fungible tokens? Like all humans are technically non-fungible tokens?
Yeah, we should all NFT ourselves, actually. The giveaway is going to be your choice of controller. So I just finally fucking snagged a set of Joy-Cons. I cannot tell you how long I've been trying to buy these motherfuckers.
Like a special set or just regular Joy-Cons?
No, they're just they're watermelon colored. Like one's pink and one's lime.
Oh, you were trying to get that specific color?
No, I was just trying to buy fucking Joy-Cons, dude.
Are they hard to find?
All over the fucking place. Yes.
I didn't know.
You know what they only sell? They only sell the right one.
That's so weird. It's like that fucking right Twix, left Twix commercial shit.
I know, but they do sell it that way. So I just got the Joy-Con. I'm gonna get an Xbox controller, and for whatever reason, all the Targets around here, I guess like Highlands Ranch is Xbox Town or something. They have plenty of PlayStation controllers. So I think we're gonna do PS5 controller because that's what Instagram voted on. So it's like you win, you choose your controller, and you get some merch.
So you either get a PS5 controller, an Xbox controller, or Joy-Cons?
Joy-Con. For now. Maybe sick. I can sneak in a mouse,
Whoa.
PC guys want?
You can get like a pretty nice $60 mouse or whatever. How much are controllers nowadays?
Yeah, they're like 60 to 70.
Yeah, you could get a clean mouse for that price. You
What's the Death Adder?
This mouse. Yeah, Death Adder Elite is cheap now. I think it's like $50 now, maybe.
Death Adder is good.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Come find us. Watch us on Twitch. Watch Coffee with bramoala every morning at the time where Anthony streams. Watch me stream randomly. Watch Josh stream randomly. Tune in soon for a potential teaser on our upcoming video game that will be released. Track the Discord. New shit is coming soon to the... I know we've been saying for a while that new shit's coming soon to the Discord, but we didn't realize how hard it was to make a video game trailer. So new shit is really coming soon to the Discord.
Yep. Big dickums, as they're saying in chat right now. If you want to catch us live, catch us on twitch.tv/KOKoala_ENT. Every Monday we're doing these Koala Times. Maybe we're going to be changing it out in the future. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe we're going to yellow it up. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right.
I'm afraid
Thanks for
that if we
listening.
commit to that like polished experience, you know, it just like might never happen.
I 100% agree. We got to commit to like, if we're doing that, it's got to be like once a month, maybe to start.
I agree. All right.
And our game is getting delayed at least a year.
Yeah, guys, you want a podcast or you want a game? Exactly. Wait, sequel. Yeah, sequel.
F-Zero. That has
Ooh.
sequels. Wait, that has a sequel. F-Zero GX.
Yeah, Sean.
What? I mean, it's a game that hasn't had a sequel in a really long time, and I would love a sequel too. So like you're on it, but it has had sequels.
What about a sequel to Elden Ring?
Yeah, Elden Ring 2. Before Elden Ring, they should release Elden Ring 2 before Elden. When's a game sequel gonna come out before the first game comes
They
out?
should, dude.
Where's that concept?
Blah 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 2. Oh,
wait, what? Huh?
we released the first one as an internal beta and everyone hated it, so we're just releasing.
That's basically what Eternal, the Dota card game, is. They put it into like re-put it into alpha after it was already fully released.
Artifact?
Or Artifact, sorry, not Eternal. Yeah, Artifact.
Didn't that happen to Crucible, the Amazon game?
I
They
think,
released it and they're like, oh fuck,
that
and they
too.
Put it back in.
New World as well had a similar experience. Fucking Amazon needs to chill out. Anyway, thanks for listening. Talk to you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye bye.